Hello and thanks for checking out TheChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on the marijuana stock sector. So a bit of a frustrating day for me, but fortunately the lessons that I learn and the mistakes that I make are leaving money on the table and not losing money. So I'll break down the CGC trade. Essentially, if I had to compare it to something, it would be like hitting the post playing sports ball, whatever game you want to play. Hitting the post, just missing, pretty much everything lining up the way I thought it would, but I'll go into a little bit about the psychology of why I didn't execute the trade. So, first things first, CGC got a flush. As soon as I looked at CGC and saw that we were testing key 38 support, and again, that support level, looking at the daily time frame, is the low down at 38.08. That's the lowest price we've seen on CGC in many, many months. Pretty much 7 months. So I say, all right, we're testing a key support. Not only that, the 5-minute RSI is absolutely crushed, down in the teens, the 15-minute RSI is in the teens, and the hourly RSI is in the 20s. That is the ideal scenario for me. I want time frames crushed in the RSI as we're testing key supports so I can bottom fish those support levels. So I made an entry at 38.30 is where I got filled. And it was a kind of scenario where I went big. And I went big because of all of these things lining up. It was the biggest position that I've taken in CGC in a long time. It used to be my standard position when we used to have liquidity and uptrends. That has not been the case. But I made my entry and I wanted a week maker. That was what my goal was. I wanted the support to hold and I wanted to see a dollar bounce. That would have been my week maker. So I enter at 38.30 and I patiently watch. And I think to myself, okay, this isn't really a fast bounce at all. And I patiently watch and I wait. And I'm waiting 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes. We're slowly trying to grind up. And there's consistent selling pressure in the 38.40s. Every time the bulls buy the ask, some more shares show up. We see some selling into the bid. We essentially can clearly see that there's resistance in the 38.40s. So from there, I was going to look to exit half of my position after a 20-cent bounce at 38.49. My order did not fill here. I just missed. And it was, I guess there were other orders in front of me that blocked my order from filling. But the bottom line is, as soon as that happened, and as soon as we started fading back down, I said, all right, that's enough for me. I am going to exit half of my position. So I did that and locked in a small amount of profit, and that gave me some breathing room. Because if we had dropped down to lower lows under 38, I would be, number one, I wouldn't want to add more because I already had a large position. And number two, I very quickly would be at a day loser. So I wouldn't want to stop out, but I would have had to because my position was big. Had I done my normal entry of entering my first order at 38.30 and reserving my second scale-in position for a 38 psychological break if we got it, I would have been way more comfortable in this trade and I would have let it play out longer. So I ended up taking half my profit. We held the double bottom. We got a bull break and then no follow through. And as soon as I saw that lack of follow through, I said, all right, I'm exiting everything. I'm locking in short-term small profit. And if we break 38, I will re-enter because the 15-minute and the hourly RSI are still crushed. And I'll just be looking for that oversold bounce on those time frames if we get that break of 38. So I exited, ended up with a couple dinners worth of profit. So not complaining in that regard. Clicking buttons for free food, I'm all for it. But I left all this money on the table because the move did end up following out exactly as I was hoping that it would. It just took a long time for the bulls to get momentum, and then we just had this slow grind up, and there's our dollar move over where I entered. So, things to learn. Number one, stick with my scale-in strategy. That keeps me psychologically sound. It keeps me very comfortable. I don't need to go for the home run week maker. If I make a 2-day, 3-day maker, that's just fine as well. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two, the bonus, or I should say the benefit of what I did is I gave up after that. And I'm happy that I did that. I didn't try and revenge trade. I didn't try and keep trading it from there. I made my tiny gain, taco money, and didn't play out the way I wanted it to. And then I just hit the reset button and start with a fresh, clean slate tomorrow. So that was my lesson on CGC. The hourly trend has not changed. We saw our low of the day, high of the day. We have to see a higher low and a higher high on the hourly to have any confidence that this bounce can see any follow through. It's very clear that the bulls are defending the low $38 range at this point with 4 holds of it, but we're still very clearly in a lower high pattern. 44.17, 43.94, 41.65, 41.07. Anything under 41.07 is just a daily lower high. I'll be interested when the bulls can prove to me they can break the daily lower high pattern. We have not broken the daily lower high pattern since back on May 22nd, which is 6 weeks ago. Cron bulls stood out today, so they had a solid day and they saw a break of the high of the last 3 days. Again, same thing. Anything under 1645 is just a daily lower high of the bulls not proving anything. But what is notable is no follow through after 1502 support broke. So that is keeping us watching for the potential of a weekly shift. If the bulls can break the daily downtrend, make their way back up towards 1786, that would be notable and pretty much have to follow through and change the daily trend from here. Otherwise, any lower lows and we're back to filling this gap down to 1445. APHA also saw some dip buying. So remember, we're watching our 2-day equilibrium. At this point, we've been watching this for, I want to say, 3-4 weeks, patiently waiting, looking for a break sometime next week. Bulls want a little bit more follow through. Anything under 721 is just a lower high, and the bulls are hoping that 656 is now our higher low. If we can see a bull break tomorrow over 682, I will be confident calling 656 our new 2-day higher low. And if the bulls do get some follow through, again, anticipating a break will be next week, not this week. ACB, no sign of the bulls, still scouting for a higher low compared to 701. We're going to look for something along these lines with our low, high of the bounce, higher low, and lower high, tightening daily range. But we have no hourly trend change and no sign of the bulls. Tightening equilibrium, if the bulls can break 739 and 740 tomorrow, the hourly trend change will be underway and we will have our daily higher low established and we'll look for the bounce and the lower high. TLRY. So again, we had the bear break yesterday, not a lot of follow through, but the bulls also aren't doing anything. So we're patiently waiting for a weekly higher low to try and form. As we're battling the weekly exponential resistances, bulls must hold 34.25 and break 51.03 to confirm a weekly trend change. Right now, no sign of the bulls. They have some proving to do, and we'll keep an eye out for it. OGI, gap up for profit taking in a very big way. So the hourly time frame fell right through the short-term support that we had. We had a support here at $7. That broke. Tightening range. So not a ton of bear follow-through. And if we see a bear break of 677, we'll then be looking for our daily higher low compared to 625 to form. Best case for the bulls would be to hold that level and form a daily inside bar tomorrow. But there was definitely a lot of profit taking. You look at the volume, and that is all bear volume to start the morning. Definitely some dip buying in there, but look at the bull volume on the way up and the bear volume on that profit taking. Doesn't really make the bulls entirely comfortable. Hexo, bear break of 503 with no follow through. So there's only 2 touches of this support line. But again, it's watching for the potential of this tightening range and patiently waiting for a break. And really, I'm just looking at the price action from the last month, which would have us looking at this tightening range right here. And I need to see the bulls break 530 and 554 to prove anything on the daily time frame, as the daily exponential resistances still remain. Solid day, solid close, have to break the daily resistances. CTST gap down open as anticipated because we got that weak close, and I ended up trading it again. Had an order from pre-market at 361 that I forgot to cancel, but I didn't mind getting filled with that position after the open because, again, I was planning on scaling in at 361. If we dropped to the 340s, I personally would have looked to have added there as well. Again, just looking to play the bounces, and I did end up scaling out at 368 and 366. So ended up with an exit of 367, just under a 2% gain. Again, trading against the trend. I'll take that every time. And that's now 2 days in a row with 2% gains on small positions on these bounces against the trend. But anything above 350 is a higher low. We have to change the hourly trend. And if anything under 394 is just an hourly lower high. Be aware that there is overnight headline risk. Any kind of decision from the Canadian government, the agency is slipping my mind right now, but any kind of license revoke, anything like that, and we can gap down another 10%. So just be aware that that extra risk is there. I do expect a 10 to 15% bounce once we find a temporary bottom, but we need an hourly trend change to have any confidence that our temporary bottom has been found. Again, I do not feel this is the same situation as APHA. With APHA, there was doubt to the shorters' findings. Here, there's no doubt. The company's come out. It's a fact. It's known. It's being priced in. The APHA bounce that followed through was the fact that perhaps there was an overreaction and too many bearish things were priced in that perhaps were not true. So it's a different setup in that regard. VFF still need to see a bull break of 1156 and 1178 in order for the bulls to try and prove to us that our 2-week higher low has formed in this equilibrium that we're watching. So high, low, lower, high, scouting for the higher low, but I have to see a break of 1178 before I'm confident that that 2-week higher low has formed. So patiently watching a tightening range, and we'll see if the bulls are able to make their way to that resistance level. T-God, still holding on, but we have a double top at 337 now. Bulls have to break 337 to be looking at 342, and to try and get any kind of follow through here, have to get over the exponential resistances. From there, we'll just zoom out and look for a weekly lower high to form, even if we do change the trend. But it's the bulls just trying to see continuation. Looking at the hourly chart, break at 321, not a good sign. Nice recovery, but still a double top at this point. Have to break 337 for continuation of that big bull day from just a few days ago. Getting on to USMJ now. Tomorrow is the congressional hearing that is bullish for the sector, but in my interpretation, nobody knows about it. News isn't really covering it, and that's what we need for any kind of market reaction. We need hype, we need news coverage, we need articles, and we don't really have that right now. So unless something comes out of it in the sense of getting steps closer towards rescheduling of marijuana or one of these acts passing, if that doesn't come out of this, then it's bullish, long-term, bigger picture, but it's not going to have a direct implication on short-term price action, in my opinion. GWPH, bulls just fine, so my lesson here is use that level as your stop loss as opposed to that level, because the bulls recovered very nicely from the weakness just a couple days ago, and we're looking up at resistance of 178.50, 179.15. Break those levels, and we're going to be looking back up towards the all-time high after prolonged multiple-month weekly healthy consolidation. KSHB, as I said in the video yesterday, my game plan was to exit tomorrow morning, which was today. I exited within the first 60 seconds of trading, fortunately, as we dumped after that. Daily inside bar formed. If we break 503 and we pull back, we're going to look at 483 as key support to maintain the daily higher low. And if we break bullish, we're looking up at the top of 541. Earnings came out, no after hours reaction. So we'll have to see how the market interprets it tomorrow. IIPR bulls, nice save. New daily higher low, 123.07. And we're looking at two resistance levels, 134.78 and 137.78. Still in a daily uptrend and still with all-time highs in sight. As long as the daily uptrend remains, bulls are comfortable for IIPR, which continues to be the star of the USMJ sector the last 6 weeks. Cureleaf, no follow through on its bull move. I will exit if we see a bear break. I'm in a small starter position from yesterday. I will exit if we see a bear break of 887, and then we'll just patiently wait for daily oversold conditions. New lower high of resistance on the daily is 935. Anything under that keeps the bears in control, and it's pretty much just a support test tomorrow. And if that support level breaks, we don't have a ton of support nearby. 815 is the next clear support level. That's 10% away. So the question is, can we keep breaking support and keep seeing no bear follow through, which is what the bulls are hoping for if we do break 887. OH stood out a little bit green today, but again, still daily exponential resistance. Anything under 913, just a daily lower high. And the question now is, can the bulls form a weekly higher low and change the weekly trend, or are we just seeing a bear flag to fade down to lower lows? There's not a lot of bear volume at this point, but certainly a lack of bulls proving anything to us on this daily chart right now. And the bears have favor until the bulls can show us some kind of volume, some kind of strong closes, and some kind of multiple green days in a row, which we just have not seen in the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks of trading. GTII continues to fade back down. If GTII breaks 1305 and confirms the weekly bear flag, that shifts the needle on all these other USMJ names that might be giving us bear flags on the weekly. It'll be more likely that they are if we see other names break bearish first, and GTII has that level in sight. 4-hour and hourly RSI close to oversold, but we can very easily break 1305 with just a 2% pullback from where we stand right now. IAN still weak as well, increase in bear volume. Daily RSI not oversold yet, down at 30. 4-hour RSI just getting to oversold at 29. The hourly RSI got pretty beat up today. That was down in the teens. Weak little bounce. Bulls pretty much have to hold 362 and break 373 tomorrow to change the hourly trend and get any kind of bounce follow through. Otherwise, it just cooled off the hourly RSI to allow for another leg down before we get to the longer term oversold RSI levels. So again, just looking for an oversold daily and 4-hour bounce, as we've seen multiple times. We've seen two 15% bounces in the last 3 weeks of trading, but again, it's against the trend, and we have to be locking in profit on short-term bounces. I am still interested in IAN for these oversold bounces because it's gone fairly well as far as entering in those oversold RSI levels on the longer-term time frames and scaling out into strength. So I will be looking for that this coming week. I did get one entry filled today at the low of the day on ITHUF, and I may exit that break even and then just look to reload if we do get more beat up tomorrow. But looking to potentially start scaling in if the aggressive bears continue with their aggression. And last, we got CWeb, daily higher low, and actually I'll do MedMen because it's similar. Daily higher low on CWeb. And we don't have an hourly trend change yet, so we're not entirely confident, but the size of the bounce is certainly a good sign. The bulls bounced 8%. So very nice dip buying. Hourly did not hit RSI oversold, but came close. We need an hourly trend change and follow through tomorrow with a higher low and a bull break of 2263, and that would give us a daily higher low, and we'd be setting our sights back up to the recent high of 2449. And we'll wrap it up with MedMen, which also is looking for the daily higher low, high of the day close. We didn't change the hourly trend, so again, not entirely confident, but a very nice bounce off the lows. These two lead MJ bulls for the US sector the last few weeks with 6 and 8% bounces apiece. We'll need an hourly trend change to confirm the daily higher low has been established, and then we'll scout for the potential of a lower high compared to 362. That's where we stand overall. CWeb and MedMen clear lead USMJ bulls at this point, along with IIPR. Lots of other names still struggling. GTII watching to see if it drops to lower lows. IAN already dropping to lower lows. And Curaleaf on the verge of lower lows. So again, it's a very mixed batch of some names up very significantly from their lows just a few weeks ago, and other names hitting lower lows. So we'll see if we'll see what comes out of the congressional hearing tomorrow, and we'll check back in after that. Appreciate you watching. Do good things out there. See you tomorrow.